Hello, everyone. All right, sorry about that. Looks like for whatever reason, it wasn't letting me upload. So I did want to give you guys a quick idea in terms of. Sorry about that. Oh God. Looks like for whatever reason, it wasn't letting me upload. All right. In terms of. Sorry about that. Oh God. Looks like. Where's my audio? Reason. It wasn't letting me. There we go. Jesus. Okay, so we finished off. I wanted to know what the price of Soma was. So 16.29. I don't know what that is as a percentage. We'll probably see it back on here, but it looks like this one, the Rock stream, is actually quite a few horror-oriented games. So Layers of Fear was one we played earlier. Soma is one of the better stories that we played the other night. So. Build your own bundle strategy first. Obviously, this is one that I've been paying attention to. This is a lot of classic strategy titles, but I did say that I was going to be skipping over the bundles. You can definitely check those out on your own. Just more for you to think. And it is worth mentioning that they do some updates. So in 6 hours, we'll get a new batch. Now, one of the reasons why I'm taking the time to do this is a lot of people miss this, but if you go under check your progress, first of all, if you gain XP, you are going to be getting, you're potentially going to be getting free games, and you'll notice you've earned an experience boost during the Monstrous Fall sale. So if you don't get XP, if you don't get a game this time, it's not wasted. When their next sale comes along, probably you're going to get some XP towards those. But right now, depending on the amount that you sort of spend, you can get Shadow Warrior Classic Redo, potentially Shadowrun Dragonfall, although honestly, if you just want Dragonfall, you might as well buy it on your own, and then Stasis if you go hog wild. Some differences this time: if you use your wallet funds, it's an extra 10% XP boost, so even if you just put the money into your wallet and then buy the game, you can do that. But the way to get the free XP is ridiculously easy. So if you add 10 games to your wish list, 500 XP right there. Easiest thing to do. You should do that right now with that account that you make to, benefit the stream. Share the sale on Facebook or Twitter. That one you might not want to do because obviously it's not cool to spam your friends, but I've done it already. So if you create or own a GOG account, 1,000 XP right there. So if you want a reason to sign up for GOG, other than helping out the stream, 1,000 XP, you're already a fifth of the way to getting Shadow Warrior. Play Among the Stars. If you go to gog.com/galaxy. Now, this is just looking at this page. If you're like, okay, you know what? I don't want to download GOG Galaxy. That's fine. You looked at the page. That leather smell, again, go to the GOG wallet page. You do not need to add anything to the wallet. Thank you very much for that, host Jesse Quill. Sorry you got blocked. Again, just visiting the page will give it. So 1,000 experience just for visiting web pages, 1,000 experience just for having a GOG account. So 2,000, slightly under halfway to Shadow Warrior. Finally, 5 days of shopper. So you go, you click check in, and you get 100 XP. Now, obviously, we're about halfway through the sale, so you're not going to be getting the full benefit of that. But these are some fantastic examples of ways that it's very easy to get experience, and you're on your way to getting a free game. Now, on to the sale stuff. I'll give you a summary of these here, because I've been meaning to do this for a while. Where were we? Rogue Legacy is a cute one. So if you do like roguelikes, Rogue Legacy is a fun one. What you do is you play sort of a succession of adventurers, and the adventuring traits are hereditary. So some of them are good, some of them are bad. So you could be like colorblind, or you could be really strong. And these are things that your various generations of adventurers go through. I find it quite difficult, so I'd still say if you're looking for a roguelike, you haven't played a lot of them, FTL is the better option, but Rogue Legacy is sort of an action platformer version of that. What's up next? Darkest Dungeon probably doesn't require any introduction. This is one which is, it's a little more turn-based oriented. It deals with sort of the stress of dungeoning. Not exactly as roguelike as Rogue Legacy or FTL, but it's one that sort of has this persistent sort of hamlet that you keep building and you keep bringing in new adventures. Especially if you're a streamer, this is a really stream-friendly game. It's another Vancouver studio, so it's one I'm interested in as well. Also, the narration on this one is second to none, so it's almost half off. I think it may have potentially gone on at a lower price at other times, so you may want to sit on this one. But $20 is fair for this game, although I haven't played it as often as I have before. Homeworld is an excellent series. The remastered collection is very well done as well. Some people will say that this is one of the best RTSs ever made. It's not RTS in the same of in the sense of like Red Alert or something, or StarCraft or something like that. The remastered edition also looks excellent. So for 67% off, if you like real-time strategy games and you have not played Homeworld, definitely for 60. I would actually argue that this game is so good that it's worth the $16 to check it out. But again, it's a little bit more than some of these other ones on here. So definitely check out some gameplay of Homeworld, see if it's your kind of thing. But this is an excellent price for this game. By the way, if you guys were wondering about experience, notice here you're at 10,000. So I believe that would get you up to Dragonfall. Yeah, so if you buy one $15 game and you do some of the bonus experience items, you're basically already at Dragonfall. What else do we have here? I didn't realize it was so... Oh, okay. Chaos Reborn, one of my favorite turn-based strategy games ever. They're constantly updating it, and it's actually going to be one that Jesse Quill and I play on stream sooner rather than later. $10 is a steal for this game. It's by Julian Gollop, the guy who made the original XCOM game as well as XCOM Apocalypse. If you ever like turn-based strategy, this is a must-buy. And at this price, it's excellent. Like, honestly, this is a game which they had an option to buy a deluxe edition, and I was originally willing to put $100 towards it because I enjoyed it that much. And they actually got rid of that option before I did that upgrade. But Julian Gollop is an excellent game designer. Chaos Reborn is a fantastic turn-based game, and the amount of stuff that they've added since I started playing it is incredible. This is definitely one of my higher recommendations in terms of the GOG Winter Sale. Unless you hate turn-based strategy, there's no reason not to own this game, especially at $10. Besiege is a lot of fun. They have been dragging their feet on early access development, though. So honestly, if you're going to be spending the $5, I would recommend some of the ones at the top, like FTL or something like that. Pillars of Eternity, we were talking about that before. This is the Champion Edition, so slightly higher than the one before. Some newer games as well. GOG is not just a classic games front end, but there are some newer games which have had recent releases. 25% off there, I think, is a fair enough price, although I haven't played the first one, so I've not picked it up myself. Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers. Now, this is the remake of it. So for $6.79, it's actually not a bad upgrade in my view, but I do think I prefer the classic game originally. So if you want to play the modern remake, I think $6.79 is fair for it, but for my money, I'd pick up the classic. Legend of Grimrock 2. I haven't finished Grimrock 1 yet, so this has been sitting in my library, but $11 for that. Planescape Torment. If you like CRPGs, this is pretty much a must-play. They've got a remake of this called Torment Tides of Numenaria, but if you want to play the original Torment, it still holds up today. Kilgore Trout has actually been playing it on the GOG channel, and again, for $5, let me put it to you this way. In terms of things, if you like CRPGs, you'll notice that there's no $5 option here. So I'd almost argue if you like classic games, then Torment might even be a better value play than Pillars of Eternity. But Pillars of Eternity for $20 is a modern, very sprawling take on the CRPG. So it depends a little bit in terms of how much your heart pines for the classic days. We were talking about ARPGs earlier, so Grim Dawn, 40% off. To me, I'm not quite sure this is a $20 game, but I get a little tired of ARPGs pretty quickly, so this might just be for me. I want to double check that this is so this is part 1 of the White March for 10. I believe there's a bundle which has both of them, which is a little bit cheaper. Let's see here. I can't find it offhand, so it may be just $10 each. But again, if you already have Pillars of Eternity on GOG, You can pick up the DLC if you'd like. Layers of Fear we played a little bit earlier. I definitely would have bid on Inheritance for $3.39. Layers of Fear is a little short, so for $13.59 there are a couple of other horror games. I would actually say you may want to consider Soma before doing Layers of Fear, but Layers of Fear is a very good-looking indie game, which they do a really good job of sort of messing with your sense of space. It's a beautiful looking game, very well done, and I would give it a recommendation here, save for the fact that Soma is, I think, is a slightly better horror game. Now, if you're into old school turn-based strategy, this is the original XCOM. This is the one made by Julian Gollop. If you're a completionist, just know that XCOM Terror from the Deep is basically a reskin of the original XCOM that Julian Gollop was not involved in. So if you want to know just how painful the original game was, this is a fantastic game, by the way. There's a reason why a lot of game developers talk about how influential this game was to their to their own sort of journey towards making games. For $2, there's no reason for people not to buy this. Although I will also say that it plays like an older game. Like, it is difficult to pick up if you're used to modern games. So if you want a modern take by the same guy and sort of see how, like, if you want to see how Julian Gollop, the guy who made the original XCOM, still has it in him. Oh, who followed? That would have someone like me for a member. Nordal Kate, was it? Sorry. Not Real Katie. Thank you very much for following. I'm just kind of going over the GOG sale right now, so thank you for stopping by. Where was I? Oop, I went too far. But yeah, if you want to see how, like, this absolute master of turn-based strategy is still innovating in this genre, that's why you buy Chaos Reborn. Homeward soundtrack, very fun to listen to, but more fun to play the game. Master of Orion, we were given a copy of that from GOG. This is a fun one, so especially if you like the Stellaris playthrough and Endless Space, this is another take on the 4X strategy game. I have not played this enough to say whether or not I prefer this to Endless Space, though, so this carries a little bit of a caveat emptor. I believe 50% is still, I believe that's the cheapest I've seen it, so definitely if you were thinking of buying it, now would be the time to pick it up. But this is a little bit of a harder one for me to give like a super enthusiastic recommendation for, simply because I haven't kicked the tires quite enough. Incidentally, Victor Vran. So if you like ARPGs and you were kind of indifferent to Grim Dawn, Victor Vran would be the value play on this one. You can get it for about a quarter of the price of Grim Dawn. Although I'm not sure people would agree that it's quite an equivalent quality play. We already covered FTL. $3 for FTL is great, although, again, if you don't like pausable sort of strategy-ish games, if you don't like roguelikes, definitely you're going to have a hard time with FTL. I think this is one that's good to have in every library, though. Braid is a very interesting puzzle game. We haven't been talking a whole lot about puzzle games on here, but if you are somebody who likes games like that, strong recommendation for Braid there. Also very interesting and original way of telling a story. Legend of Grimrock would be an RPG from a first-person perspective, especially if it's a modern take on sort of the classic RPG genre. I'd say for $7, it's quite entertaining. In fact, obviously, if you've not played Legend of Grimrock and you've got Grimrock 2 waiting there for more, try Legend of Grimrock first. Although for the $7, personally, I would put that towards Outlast, which is a wonderful horror game, also Canadian. And the Whistleblower DLC should also be available on here for $7. In fact, this is one I would say at this price, it's probably worth getting a copy for your friends if you want to watch them be spooked. We've already covered Divinity. You've got two flavors here, Basic or Collector's Edition. I don't know what the Collector's Edition gives you. I personally just have the Original Sin Enhanced Edition. It's perfectly fun to play on its own. If you guys also like CRPG sort of stuff like what we were playing and you're looking for alternatives, like if you've played all the Obsidian games, Wasteland 2 is very well done, and at 60% off, it's at a pretty fair price. It's a big game. So in this case, the $17.59, the $20 for Pillars of Eternity, like, you are paying for the scope and the breadth of those games. You're not just paying up for the pretty pictures. They're well done. I believe this is parts 1 and 2 of the White March. Yes, so this is the wait a minute, expansion pass. Here we go. So instead of spending $20 for parts 1 and 2 of the White March, you can get them both together for $16.79. It's $4. So basically you save a fifth of the price if you get that one. Big Farmer is a fun one. $13.59 is a little costly for the game in my opinion, but especially if you like these kind of management sims, I'm fond of it. Another word to mention, so if you like the original XCOM and you want to play another one done by Julian Gollop, XCOM Apocalypse was the other one that he did. It's a little bit of a flawed game in my view. It's not exactly what it should have been, but it's still classic XCOM. XCOM is still a lot of fun. Shadowrun Dragonfall, another absolute 5-alarm recommendation. 409 is an absolute steal. This is a big game. It's a fascinating story. I love this game so much, and for 409, absolutely, please support Harebrained Schemes. Please do yourself the favor and play this game. Again, if you don't like CRPGs, you're not going to get anything there, but if you like turn-based combat like XCOM, if you like good stories, Shadowrun Dragonfall has to be in your library. If you've not played this already, if you haven't seen the playthrough, go back to the YouTube page and watch one of the Shadowrun playthroughs, see how much fun we had with that game. You definitely should be checking this game out. And for $4, there's like, at this point, if you're not buying it for the $4, it's just because you have no interest in ever playing a Shadowrun game. We mentioned Soma a little bit earlier, $17. Again, I'm trying to come up with the mix of like the value picks and the low and like the good games, but at fair prices. Between Soma and Outlast, if you want the horror game, you buy Outlast. If you want an original science fiction story being told, there are not a lot of very good science fiction stories that get told in video games. So Soma is one of them, but you're also paying up for it. So $16.29 Canadian, and of course, whatever your regional equivalent is. I think we're getting close to the end here. Age of Wonders 3, if you like fantasy 4X strategy, I know your options really are Endless Legend and Age of Wonders 3. So it's a fine game on its own. It didn't quite, how do I put it? It's not perfect, but it does scratch the itch if you want that. Again, another big batch of bundles. The ones that you probably will want to pay particular attention to, if you do like strategy games, Master of Magic is one you want to look at, so check out the Atari bundle there. Devolver Hits, if you've not played Hotline Miami 2, we also did Mother Russia Bleeds this year. It's a lot of really good stuff by Devolver. The Build Your Own bundles are nice too, so if you want to pick up a bunch of Devolver stuff, do it here, and you can get up to 55 or up to 66% off. Serious Sam's another really good series that I like. And what do we have here? Luftrausers is a fun one, and Dropsies if you like adventure games, I think. There was one last one, I think it was the Activision bundle, which had some of the old Sierra adventure games that I wanted to draw your attention to, so you'll have to forgive me while I'm taking a quick peek around. EA Strategy is good, although I will let you guys know, as much as I'd love you to be buying stuff on GOG and supporting the stream that way, you can currently get Dungeon Keeper Gold off of EA Origins for free. And because I just saved you a little bit of money, what you'll do instead is you'll pick up Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, possibly one of the best Civilization games ever made. And a game that I have a very deep love of. If you guys were there for the 1K celebration, you'll know exactly what I think of that game. Ubisoft, so Assassin's Creed, if you don't own that already. But what my attention's drawn to is actually this Activision bundle. There's some really good old school adventure games here. So the ones that you'll particularly want to pay attention to would be the Gabriel Knight series. In fact, what you probably want is Sins of the Fathers. And then you can get the entire Quest for Glory series for $6.79. Now, I'm also looking for Space Quest, which I didn't see in there, so I might do a couple of searches. Oh yes, Deus Ex, I was going to find out what that costs. So if you would like a good version of Deus Ex Game of the Year Edition, $5.49, definitely can say that the GOG versions of classic games are hands down superior. I might actually buy myself a copy of Deus Ex because I want to do it on cast, and I would much rather do the nice version through GOG. And EA has actually been expanding their library on GOG, so there's some really good stuff on here. The Crusader games are fun if you sort of like the isometric view action games. Syndicate's also really well done, especially for $3.29. That's a pretty good price for that. And Starflight's kind of tempting, although I will say that the Sega version is better. So if you have, I know there are some versions now where you can like recreate old consoles. You may want to try the Sega version of it. And of course, the game that we were playing earlier, Tyranny Commander Edition, $51.99. I believe that is the version that I put up. Yes, the game was just released, so it's at full price. It's a well done game. If you want to save your pennies, certainly there's an argument to be made that that you want to buy Pillars of Eternity first because it's about half the price. But Tyranny stands on its own. I've really been enjoying playing it, and hopefully you guys have gone through it as well. One last search I'm going to do is for a Space Quest series, because that's another great set of adventure games that I can leave you guys with. So especially if you have difficulty with old style of games, get the 4, 5, 6 pack, $6.79. And if you watch the YouTube channel, Leisure Suit Larry, $8. Is that really just the single game? Interesting. So I guess it's not on sale. I don't know if this is really worth paying full price for. So, yeah. Top recommendations that I would give for you. FTL, again, turn-based roguelike strategy. Not turn-based, pausable roguelike strategy game. For the RTSer in your life, Homeworld. For anybody who likes turn-based games, unless you hate turn-based games, get Chaos Reborn, get a copy for your friends. One of my top recommendations out of there, Planescape Torment if you were looking for a classic CRPG, Pillars of Eternity if you're looking for a modern take on it, and Tyranny if you want kind of the latest and arguably kind of the best CRPG that Obsidian has done. Of course, if you want the best science fiction CRPG, in fact, I think one of the best CRPGs I've ever played, you get Shadowrun Dragonfall for a mere $4. Although, of course, keep in mind, if you buy any of these other ones, you may be getting that one for free. So do your strategizing before you just start buying things. Finally, for somebody who wants a horror game, you buy Outlast at $6.79. Again, all of these are in Canadian. Or if you want a science fiction story mixed with it, you pay the $10 extra and you go for Soma. And then finally, the original XCOM games, if you do like classic games, if you like turn-based stuff, the original XCOMs are great to play. And honestly, for $2, you might as well buy both the original and Apocalypse. You'll still be getting it for less than $5, and honestly, it's better than half the stuff that comes out. The Witcher is not actually $0. This is because I had a special offer. Anyways, guys, I hope that was a reasonable run over on the GOG sale. Obviously, I can't cover everything, and there is going to be a new batch in there. But I did want to specifically point out the Connect, the fact there's a lot of stuff on here from Metro to FTL. And if you want to pick up some of these free games, basically, if you're going to buy one game, I would strongly recommend that you visit this page and just, add the stuff to your wish list. Sign up for that GOG account, do the, visit these websites. It's just such an easy way that you get a free copy of Shadow Warrior. I've spent literally nothing on this sale, and yet I'm 900 experience away. If I buy anything on this sale, I get a copy of Shadow Warrior. All right. Yeah, Johnny Big Time, definitely don't don't buy stuff just because I'm shouting at you for it. But this is the only problem here about this GOG sale is that there's so much on here, and this isn't always the most friendly way of looking at it. So I wanted to tell you guys some of the stuff that you can either check my VODs and see how much I enjoy, or some things that, I've enjoyed playing with friends. There's a little something for everyone, and especially now that they've got some curators doing these bundles, like there's some some great stuff in here. And I know for those of you who are maybe streamers and looking for some more modern stuff to put on, which has the retro feel, definitely check out these Devolver Hits bundles, because these are the ones that are going to have like the Hotline Miami stuff, the Not a Hero, the stuff that just, you know, sells itself on streams and is a lot of fun to play. And you can get some solid discounts on these things. So that's it for me, guys. I think Kaylee Cakes is still doing Life is Strange. If she is, I absolutely need to host that, because Life is Strange is a really fun game. Looks like she's just recapping it, actually. I'm still gonna host Kaylee Cakes though, because she's a wonderful streamer. But I have been trespassing on your guys' patience, so hope you guys enjoyed Tyranny. Again, I'd love some feedback in terms of whether or not you guys would like to keep seeing it. But for tonight, let's host Kaylee Cakes, and we'll see you guys next time.